Finally, it's important to note that JViews Diagrammer is not only an SDK, but also a set of ready-to-use editing or design tools. There is a symbol editor to create custom graphical and interactive objects. There is a dashboard editor for arranging those symbols on the dashboard display. And there is a designer for creating the diagram displays based on custom data models. So now, let's see how to create the different types of displays using these tools. To build a diagram display, a Java developer starts to define the different graphics objects to be used in the application. He has dozens of pre-built symbols that are shipped with JViews Diagrammer, but he may want to create new ones. So he starts with the symbol editor and draws the basic graphics of his symbols. These graphics could have been created by designers using other external tools. That's why it's also possible to import the graphics from bitmaps or vector formats such as SVG. So, starting with these graphical elements, the symbol editor is able to define active objects which we call symbols. They have a defined behavior and an exposed interface. You can think of this as a type of Java bean or a widget or some kind of control. The simplest example of a symbol that can be used in a diagram is a rectangular node whose aspect is controlled by the underlying data. This can be through color changes, showing or hiding parts of the node, changing the size of the graphical elements, and so forth. In this slide, you can see an example of a node which has an image on it and then 3 little symbols above, which can be used to represent different states. And there is also a label at the bottom. This is a very classical example of a type of symbol. The output of the symbol editor is a collection of reusable symbols called the palettes, and they are stored in the jar file. Now, the designer tool is another point-and-click editor. It uses the palettes of symbols defined previously and lets you connect these symbols to different datasets, and also lets you set some of the global parameters such as the graph layout algorithms to be used. The designer is ideal for configuring the way your business objects will appear on the screen based on many different criteria. The tool creates an output file that you can load into your Java application and use like a styling descriptor for your interface. The JViews Diagrammer SDK is now used to extend and customize the desired functionality. In practice, the tools are very useful for configuring the initial look of your final application, but the SDK is still necessary to integrate the GUI with your Java interface and to meet the exact needs of the end user. For a dashboard display, the process is very similar. You start with a symbol editor where you can define your own nice symbols and gauges. You can add parameters, for example, to say how a needle would rotate. And again, the output of the symbol editor is a set of palettes you can reuse in the dashboard editor. This editor is also a point-and-click editing tool that allows the user interface developer to draw or import a backdrop and then manually arrange symbols taken from the palette on top of this backdrop. So here is an example of a dial object creating with the symbol editor. It contains both the graphics and the logic to have the expected behavior. In the dashboard editor, the dial can be taken from the palettes, put on the drawing area, and then configured with both default values and data binding information. Using the SDK, this binding information is used by the application to feed the symbols with the appropriate values. So the results of using the dashboard editor is the display definition that is ready to be connected to real-world data. The definition for that is stored in a file that is going to be used by the final application. And then, as before, the application will load this data file, connect it to the actual data, and the developer can use the SDK to provide any custom functionality. So, let's summarize now what we have learned in this short presentation about IBM ILOG JViews diagram. The Diagrammer is one of 7 products in the IBM ILOG JViews family. It can be used to build 2 types of displays, diagrams and dashboards. There is a full range of features for many types of applications, including monitoring and modeling applications. There are some point-and-click editing tools that make it very easy to get started with the product. And the product deploys on both a desktop and web application. The next steps after this presentation are to learn how to create diagram or dashboard display from a technical aspect. So please follow the links on the website to view those presentations. Thank you.